Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to the YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are to do our first 3-game match reviews of round 12 of the 2023 AFL season. And in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the first 3 games of round 12. And those games were Melbourne VS Carlton, Port Adelaide vs Hawthorn, and West Coast vs Collingwood. Now, before I go ahead and actually start today's 3-game match reviews, I just want to point to you guys out that the next couple of 3-game match reviews are going to be 2-game match reviews due to the buys. So the next one will be Dogs and Cats and Suns and Crows, and then Giants, Tigers, and then Essendon North. Just thought I'd give you guys a heads up on how the next ones are going to look. They're going to be 2 games. Alright, so the first game of the round, Melbourne vs Carlton, had to be bizarrely one of the craziest games that we've seen in this year, really, of this year, in all honesty. Melbourne 8-13-61, Carlton 6-8-44. Melbourne win by 17 in the end. This was a scrap fest. It was dewy out there, I believe, and both sides couldn't do basic skills in this entire contest. Drop marks, missed handballs, even kicking at goal. Even those goals which did go through were floaters. It was 2 sides playing below average football, which still makes for an interesting contest. And the even more insane part about it is that Carlton were in striking distance this whole game, but just couldn't execute a couple of things. And the Demons were the better side in the end. And it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but it's enough to get the 4 points, and that's all you got to do in AFL, is do enough just to get the 4 points, because in the end that's what matters, and then percentage is the next best thing. But anyway, though, Melbourne started off quite strongly despite the game being even early, but the D's kicked the last 2 goals of the term to get a little jump step heading into quarter time. In the second quarter, 2 goals to 1 in favour of the Demons, and then 2 more goals for the D's in the third quarter to Carlton's 3. That's where they fight back. That's where they make a game of it and come back to about 17 or so points at 3-quarter time, I guess. And then in the final quarter, Carlton kicked the first, and it's believable here that they can make a game of it. They can strike, they can kick a couple more goals, but little did we know that was going to be their only goal for the quarter. And then the D's, they respond with their only goal of the quarter as well, and then a couple more behinds to finish it off. But look, both sides played pretty scrappy, but it made an interesting contest. 118 fantasy for Petrarca, 111 for Chera, 89 for Bracewell, 88 for Fritsch. Goals behind, 3 goals, 2 for Mackay. And let's just talk about Mackay really quick. This is the game which he needed to have. He's needed this game in weeks. And he kicked 3 of their 6 goals. He led well. He looked good. He was back, Harry Mackay. And he missed a couple of genuine, really, opportunities which he could have taken as well. So he was back in a bit of form, Harry Mackay. Great to see for him. He's been under pressure. He's been talked about a lot. Great to see that he's back out there and he kicked 3 goals on the night. Was probably one of the better players on the ground. 2 goals, 3 for Fritsch. And that was it for the multiple goal scorers. And other goal scorers include Gawn, Pickett, Spargo, Van Ruin, Petrarca, Neil Bullen, Charlie Curnow, Akers, and Fisher. Disposals now 32 for Petrarca, 30 for Chera, 26 for Doherty, 25 for Langdon. Marks, 10 for Kemp, 9 for Harry Mackay, 8 for McGovern and Wiedering. Tackles, 7 for Neil Bullen, 6 for Viney. Hitouts, 26 for De Koning, 20 for Gawn, 11 for Grundy, 2 for Van Ruin and Young. Team stats now, and it was the D's that won inside 50s, 59-39. So again, you can still see where Carlton's problem does lay. They looked a little bit better. They looked a little bit faster on the night. But again, you still got to give yourself enough chance of going inside 50 and 59-39 plus 20 in favour of the Demons. That does write the story. Hitouts, the Demons won 38-29 clearances as well. Carlton 8-9 centre. They won that. But then Melbourne 30-20 stoppage clearances. They won contested possessions by a lot. 29, and they won uncontested footy as well, quite comfortably by 31. They won marks by 4 marks, inside 50 by 6. They led for the whole game, and look, Carlton, they were within striking distance. The D's laid more tackles as well. They were in striking distance for this game. It was a low-scoring game, though, so leads didn't matter. Both sides were inaccurate, but it was a pretty decent contest nonetheless. Now to the game earlier today, Port Adelaide vs Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval, one of the craziest games I've ever seen. Port Adelaide 23-13, 151, defeated Hawthorn 14-12, 96. Port Adelaide win by 55. It doesn't look as bad on paper. The final score doesn't look as bad as it was for Hawthorn. Hawthorn's first half was dismal, and they followed it up with a very decent second half effort, though. If they had that effort in the third half, they would have been competitive. They probably would have been close to winning the game. But Port Adelaide, fair to say that, I mean, their efforts in the last quarter weren't great. But again, at that point, you know you've won and you can preserve players. But a really big percentage boosting opportunity was missing. They could have gained 10, 11, 12% in this game. I think they only gained 5 or 6 in the end. So compared to what it could have been, they probably would be a little bit disappointed, but they are preserving their players. We do know they've got some big clashes. The Western Bulldogs and Geelong headline them. So they do have to keep their players all fit and good in that game. But look, 9 goals to 2 in the first term. It was almost over at quarter time. It was definitely over by half time. They kick like what? Let's see. They kick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in a row. Talk about 9. They're on a 9-game winning streak now, Port Adelaide as well. In the third quarter, they kick 5 goals. Hawthorn kick 5. So it's a relatively even term. Port Adelaide got out to numerous 90-point leads in that third term as well. And you do think from there, this is going to be a game where it'll be like 170-70 or something, and they'll win by 100 points, and then the final quarter at 6-2 goals. So definitely disappointing last term for Port Adelaide. It could have been less. Hawthorn did kick 4 behinds in that final term as well, so they could have really brought it back to 40. But again, though, despite everything, it was still Port Adelaide that comfortably had the game locked away by halftime anyway. Zach Butters, great season, is having great game. 129 Fantasy, 126 Finlayson, 121 Rosie, 118 Impey, 103 Marshall. Goals behinds, 5 goals for Bruce, including goal number 500. 5 goals Finlayson, Marshall, Rioli, 3 goals Lewis, 2 goals Houston. Disposals, 35 Warble, 33 Impey, 29 Rosie, 26 Butters, 25 Amon, Hardwick, Weddle. Marks, 10 for Marshall, 9 Finlayson, Williams, 8 Butters, Rosie, Lewis. Tackles now, 9 Drew, 7 Butters. Hit outs 31 for Reeves, 15 for Lysette, 7 for Lord. Great to see that he's getting a little bit of a ruck cameo, Ollie Lord. 5 for Meek, 3 for Finlayson and Kazitsky. Team stats now. Port Adelaide 72-52 inside 50, so they still did win that area pretty well, comfortably. Clearances 42-33, 22-16 centre, 20-17 stoppage favoured the Power as well. Hawthorn uncontested footy and uncontested possessions though. 99-81 marks, comfortable win there for Power. 15-15 marks inside 50. Port Adelaide did lead for they led for the whole game and 60-42 tackles, 17-1 tackles inside 50. But look, brilliant win here from Port Adelaide. Definitely you have the sense of not as much as what it could have been, but it was still a good win for them nonetheless. Alright, so now the game which is literally just wrapped up just then is West Coast versus Collingwood at Optus Stadium, and this was another unusual crazy game just to add to the crazy games we've had. Low scoring, Melbourne and Carlton, Port Adelaide and Hawthorn, unbelievable, ridiculous, crazy game. And now this one, West Coast versus Collingwood at Optus Stadium. And in the end, a result which we expected. West Coast 8-9-57, Collingwood 18-12, 120, Collingwood win by 63. No surprise to a lot of people like myself. But there was a surprise earlier on in the game, and that was competitive West Coast. They were in the game, they were competitive, and they weren't bad until the last quarter where they did let the game slip. But 3-quarter effort, they're getting alright. Last week was okay. This week was also okay. A step in the right direction here for West Coast. I think their last couple of weeks have definitely been better than nearly their whole season, really. But look, it was 4-goal opening term for Collingwood. They kind of already had the game in their momentum there. 4-goal to 4-goal term in the second quarter. In the third quarter, 4 goals to 4 as well. So West Coast, they came within 14 points in the third quarter. They let Collingwood know they were here, but Collingwood kicked 2 goals late in the term, and then 6-goal to 0 final term sums up a 63-point win there for Collingwood. And again, not a surprise, but West Coast are a little bit more competitive in this game. But in the end, though, it is Collingwood that run away with it, which, again, expected. 138 fantasy for Sheed, 137 for Duggan, 124 for Mitchell, 114 for Nick Dacos, 112 for Kelly, 107 for Cameron, 101 for Witherden. Now, I believe these are endgame stats, but I can't guarantee you that. 3 goals for Myercheck, Nick Dacos, Bobby Hill, Oscar Allen, and Ash Johnson. 2 goals for Mason Cox. Disposals 43 for Dom Sheed. That is a big number. And he kicked a goal. He had 9 marks in the tackle. That is a pretty good performance. We've seen some great performances this year. It definitely contends with a good performance. Don't think it's the best performance of the year, but definitely goes up there for one of them. Duggan, 33 disposals, 30 for Nick Dacos. Tom Mitchell, 29 for Tim Kelly, 28 for Witherden. Marks now, 13 for Duggan, 11 for Quainer, and Myercheck, 9 for Sheed, 8 for Murphy. Tackles, 13 for Mitchell, 7 for Crisp, 6 for Williams. Hitting outs, 31 for Cameron, 21 for Williams and Cox, 2 for Jamieson. Team stats now. 55 to 56 inside, 50 in favour of Collingwood. That's a big positive there for West Coast. Not only did they enter enough times, obviously not scoring enough, but they're getting there. The entries can be big. You've got to give your forwards an opportunity. If you don't give your forwards a good enough opportunity, you don't win the game. They're at least giving their forwards an opportunity. 56 inside, 50 Collingwood, we know they give their forwards plenty of opportunities in games. 43-33 clearance in favour of Collingwood, 17-12 centre in favour. In favour of West Coast. The clearance is actually 43-33 clearance in favour of West Coast, 17-12 centre in favour of West Coast, 26-21 stoppage in favour of West Coast. West Coast won contested possessions by 8, and they won in uncontested possessions as well. See, in the stats, it's actually not looking too bad here. 107-95 marks for West Coast, but only 5 marks inside, 54 and 14 for Collingwood. So again, that is an area that they do need to improve on. Collingwood did lead for most of the game, and look, West Coast 47-67 tackles as well for Collingwood, 12-5 tackles inside 50 though for West Coast. Despite this being a better performance in terms of stats, the scoreboard definitely does let them down. The last quarter let them down as well. But overall, West Coast's efforts are getting a little bit better. But yeah, still a big win though for Collingwood by 63. Now, we go back, obviously Melbourne won by 17 over Carlton, Port Adelaide by 55 over Hawthorn, Collingwood by 63 over West Coast. Footy action. So the next 3-game match previews will be 2-game match previews. It'll be the Dogs and the Cats and Suns and the Crows as one, and there'll be Giants and Richmond and Essendon North as another one. The buys this week are for Brisbane, Fremantle, St Kilda and Sydney. First of all though, monstrous 2 Saturday night games between the Dogs and the Cats and the Suns and the Crows. Monstrous 2 Saturday night games. 2 great games, 2 massive games in terms of season-defining games as well. Giants, Tigers, Essendon North are the games on tomorrow. In terms of the ladder now, Collingwood still sit a game clear. And then it's Port Adelaide in second, who are 2 games clear of Melbourne. That is massive. Brisbane can still close that gap though. Well, actually, no, they can't because they still haven't played yet, but Brisbane can close that gap later on in the season because Port Adelaide have their bye in round 15, I believe, which is later on. But yeah, Brisbane will have the opportunity to close the gap anyway. And then you've got the Saints, Dogs, Crows, Bombers, Dockers, Cats, Swans, Suns, Blues, Giants, Tigers, Hawthorn, North and West Coast. That's going to wrap us up for today's 3-game match reviews. It's going on for a little bit long. The next ones will be shorter as there's only 2 games. And then round 13, so I just want to quickly touch on this. The first 3-game match reviews will be Swans, Saints, Dogs, Power, and Hawthorn, Brisbane. Second one will be Crows, West Coast, Freo, Richmond, North, Giants. Third one will be Carlton, Essendon, and then Melbourne, Collingwood. And then from round 14 onwards, it's back to normal. Thank you guys. It was so much watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next video on the channel. Thank you guys. It was so much. Bye everyone. Flame Footy out.